The second strategy we're going to focus on today for second grade addition is decomposition. We've talked about number line, place value blocks, and the part-part whole model. So decomposition is kind of the next, I don't know if it's easiest, the next nicest way to move into things. Decomposition can also be called, the way we're using it, expanded addition. Expanded addition is just using place value to break apart the number. Decomposition in its truest form is breaking up a number any way you want to make it useful. We are breaking it up by place value, so it's more like expanded addition, but that's okay. And so this will help students, since place value is a really tough concept for a lot of students, and first grade focuses on it, but they may not master it by the end of first grade. This is a great way to use place value for something, because so often we talk about place value and we identify place value, but we don't use it for anything. So this will link what place value is to using it for something that will help them in their addition of two-digit numbers. There's three different methods that I'm going to talk about. Stick method is one way, underline place value is another way, and vertical expansion is the third way. So let's start with stick method. When you're talking about decomposition, it's not like the traditional way where you are talking about that they have to start with the ones place. Typically in the stick method, you will start with the tens place. And so I put sticks, linking my two tens place numbers, and I'm talking through myself saying, okay, that's 30, that's 50, 30 plus 50 is 80. Now if the students need to write down 30 plus 50, you can certainly have them do that. But if you can get them to do it in their head, that would be better, and maybe that's the second step. But 30 plus 50 is 80. And your next, the two numbers you have left, the ones place, 2 plus 6 is 8. So I put a plus 8 because I'm adding those two things together. Okay, our little adding sign. And so my answer ends up being 88. And you could use color coding on this last part if you wanted to put an 8 for this place and an 8 for this place. Maybe we'll try that here. Underline place value is a little less with the sticks. I know when students use their own whiteboards, sometimes the sticks get a little big, but that's kind of a spatial thing they can practice. That's not a bad thing. And so you using different colored markers up here doesn't mean they have to use different colored markers there, but making that link to what you're doing on here is probably a good thing. So underline place values, same type of thing. I start with the tens. 30 plus 50 is 80. I underline the ones place. 2 plus 6 is 8. And I add them together. And I get 88. Okay, so you could certainly do this on a separate line if that was less confusing, and then put your 88 underneath if you don't have all the equal signs. Since they do all equal each other, it is mathematically correct if that's what we're concerned about, but we want to make sure it makes sense to the kids. And so if this way is easier, this way is easier, that's fine. Vertical expansion is something that is kind of the same way, except you're writing it out a little bit. So 30 plus, I'm sorry, you expand out this one here, 30 plus 2, and you expand out this one underneath it, so it's 50 plus 6. This goes from horizontal now to vertical addition, and so my number here, it doesn't quite line up as far as the color coding for place value, but in the end, this way is a good way for them to expand out the number, and then they can add it down and get their 8 plus 80, which equals 88. So, 3 different ways to add, and let's try one more problem. Now this has regrouping inside it. So regrouping adds a little extra difficulty for the kids, and there may be some extra steps in some of these to do. But you start the same way, every time, no matter what, no matter if you know there's regrouping or not. 60 plus 20, and you have the kids say not 6 plus 2, 60 plus 20 is 80. And second part, oops, I jumped the gun on there. 8 plus 9 is 17. Okay, so they're adding 80 plus 17. Most students will be able to, many students will be able to add 80 plus 17 to get 97. But students, they may need to break this up to 80 plus 10 plus 7. That's okay. It depends on where they are in their development. And so 80 plus 17 ends up being 97. So depending on how things go with regrouping, and you haven't formally, done the standard way yet, that's okay. They can get this, and if they need to go back to the number line, if they need to 80, 90, and then add 7, that's okay too. The next one, same type of thing. 80. Underline the place value again. 8 plus 9, 17. And my answer that I get, 97. So very similar, same, it doesn't really matter which way you do it. And then this vertical expansion, so I can, if I want to go 60, and then I want to go 20, if I wanted to, last time I didn't color code, this time I can, because I remembered. And then I have this place be here. And now it wouldn't matter again where you're going to start. Okay, so I go 17 there, and I add 60 plus 20 and get 80 here. And then again, same type of deal. Not a wonderful 9, but so I get my 97. And so the students have some choice in the way they do it. If you had them do all three ways, and then pick which one they liked best, if you had them work on this for a week, if they worked on a little bit, you chunked it out, it doesn't really matter. Just know that there are, and if you only wanted to show them one, say you really liked this way, and you wanted to just show the students this way, that's okay too. Eventually, we should have students doing these problems in their head if they know place value well enough. If they know they can start at the tens place, which is where most adults start with mental math, is the biggest digit, biggest value digit. I'm going to go 60 plus 20 is 80. In my head, I'm thinking that. And then I have 17 more, 80 and 17, 97. So eventually, students are going to do this in their head, some sooner than others. We want to encourage that. Okay, can they do it in their head? Don't make them show their work all the time, but certainly right away have them show their work. So decomposition, very important for place value development for our second grade students.